Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Jack Hagel. The Carolina Hurricanes have plans for a $1 billion redevelopment around Lenovo Center. It's the centerpiece of a reimagined West Raleigh. For more than a decade, officials have eyed the area as Raleigh's next big thing. WRAL reporter Brian Murphy reports that it's finally happening, and he joins us now to tell us about the plans. Brian, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
In the past few months, you've reported about all this new development around the Lenovo Center. That's the home of the Carolina Hurricanes and NC State basketball. Let's start with what's actually happening on that property.
Yeah, well, there's two separate projects happening on that property, and sometimes they get confused, but there's a $300 million renovation project happening at the Lenovo Center. That will start next summer, the summer of 2025, and we'll see a view bar on the upper concourse. We'll see suites and some multi-purpose rooms on the arena level. People probably won't notice, but the biggest change is going to be on the back of the house, where they're going to create more room for touring buses to come in and out. It will really help the acts that want to come to Lenovo Center. And so that's all going to cost about $100 million. That's what's happening inside the arena. There's a separate project outside the arena.
Which is mostly like surface parking, right?
Right. Right now it's all surface parking. I mean, obviously there's a lot of trees and stuff over there, but primarily surface parking for both the Lenovo Center and Carter Finley Stadium. That's the project that the Hurricanes are really controlling. The Centennial Authority controls the other renovation project, but the redevelopment around the arena, the Hurricanes are in control of, and they want to act fast. The first thing we're going to see, likely starting next December, are two parking lots that go up to replace most of the parking that's lost, and then we'll see a whole bunch of other things, including a small music venue, office buildings, apartments, retail, and restaurants. I mean, it's really going to be quite a change over there.
I mean, really just better use of the land that's already there, right?
Yeah. I mean, right now that land gets used for parking, and there's about 150 events a year. And so you come in, you pay sometimes your $40 to park there, and then you leave. What the Hurricanes want and what we're seeing around the country are destinations. They want people to come out there 300 days a year, and whether they live there or maybe there's a great restaurant out there, or they want to come to a music show, or they have better events at the Lenovo Center. I mean, they want that, the activation is a key word that they use now. They want that activated 300 days a year as opposed to 150 days a year.
Now, this arena has been there for more than a quarter century. Why is all this happening now?
A couple reasons. I think primarily Tom Dundon, the billionaire owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, has the money. First of all, let's start there. He has the money to do a project like this, and he has the vision, I think, to do a project like this. When this arena was first built, this was what they envisioned for it. They envisioned not just a arena sitting in a bunch of empty parking lots, but they wanted this to be a new, sort of downtown core, right? A place where people could live, work, play, be entertained all the time. And it just never happened, in part because for a lot of reasons. I think the ownership was one of them. Two, I think, this is sort of a newer concept. So you need to see it play out and work in some other cities around the country before maybe you're willing to invest the $1 billion or whatever it's going to take to do it. Also, the population, right? The population now of the city is ready, I think, for another, core. And then lastly, the Hurricanes were never really guaranteed to be here. I mean, for a long time, we constantly heard, they're going to move to Quebec or Ottawa or you name the city, Utah. And now that the Hurricanes have signed this long-term lease agreement, they've gotten this $300 million in public money for a renovation. It really feels like the time is right to invest further into the area.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear more about the plans taking shape near the Lenovo Center. Stick around. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL reporter Brian Murphy about development plans in West Raleigh. Brian, Lenovo Center is near the airport on highways that take you to Durham and Chapel Hill. It's near affluent suburbs. One would think that this area would have been built up by now by private developers. Are there other reasons why it hasn't been?
I mean, a lot of the land around there is state-owned land. Now we're seeing, and part of it is chicken or the egg, right? If there are no workers there, then why are you going to put in restaurants and bars? If there are no restaurants and bars, why are you going to have workers there? So what we're seeing now is that the state is utilizing that property, to its better and higher uses. The Department of Health and Human Services is moving out there. That's been a decade-long process to sell its property at Dorothea Dix and move out toward, Edwards Mill and Reedy Creek. This intersection, this four-way on each corner is going to be a massive either government building or private building. Bandwidth was able to purchase 40 acres from the state for $30 million and then build a $100 million headquarters out there. We're seeing renovations with the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Environmental Quality. So the state, in many ways, has decided that this is a campus that they need to take advantage of as the state government gets bigger.
Now, you mentioned the Bandwidth deal. Is there a chance that we could see them selling land to other private entities?
Well, I talked to Steve Troxler last week, and he said, make me an offer, basically. He said he's not going to foreclose anything, and it does seem like he's more open to cutting those kinds of deals than maybe he was in the past, in part because there's just a lot of land out there that's not really being utilized. The Bandwidth land was being used as a parking lot for the state fair. 2 weeks a year it was getting used. Now there is a giant office building there. People are working, and it's going to be one of the main things that brings others out there. So he's open to those kind of deals.
Now, Tom Dundon, the owner of the Hurricanes, has talked about wanting to bring a Major League Baseball team to the Triangle. Could this area factor into those efforts?
You would think, right? You would think he wants to keep it nearer to this $1 billion development that he's about to do. I think a lot of it depends on, can they cut a deal, not only with the state, but are there some other entities out there where you can get some land swaps or you can purchase some land. When you look at some of the more recent ballparks, they're not on huge tracts of land. I looked this up last week, but the Atlanta Braves are on 15 acres. They're going to build this new stadium in Las Vegas on 9 acres. That's just the footprint of the stadium. Obviously, there's some land around that. But the Braves, who are a model for this sort of mixed-use development stuff, they have a 60-acre plot of land called the Battery. The stadium's on 15 of those acres, and the other 45 are for this mixed-use stuff. Can you find 60 acres, in this general area? That's for smarter people than me, but if you look out there, there's a lot of undeveloped land. Whether that's for sale or available is another question.
And you can always build up.
You can build up, and these stadiums are very intimate. Like if North Carolina, if Raleigh were to get a Major League Baseball team, we're not talking 50,000 seats, 60,000 seats. We're probably talking 35 to 45,000 seats. So these arenas, these venues are getting kind of more intimate. We're seeing that in Chapel Hill with the Smith Center as well.
And now that the Hurricanes have actually put out these plans, have we seen any actual activity on the tracks outside of PNC Arena?
Not at the moment, although the people that I spoke to for the story and others say there are meetings happening all the time, that there are rumors of certain businesses or that want to get into that area. The caveat to that, and I spoke to Brian Fork, who is in charge of this project for the Hurricanes. He said he's already been contacted by many retailers or restaurants or people who want to get in on the development that's happening at the Lenovo Center or in the grounds around it. So certainly I think people want to get involved. And as we've mentioned, like, this has been in the works for years, decades, maybe even longer. And I think what it took was the first people to jump, right? Bandwidth to make the move, Department of Health and Human Services to make the move, the Hurricanes to commit long-term and to put out these plans. And now I think people start to say, okay, this is real. This is legitimate. It's happening. Maybe we can make a move over there as well.
Now, obviously, if you end up with this whole new district of Raleigh, that's going to have a ripple effect beyond the region. Is there anything else planned, maybe along Blue Ridge Road or Hillsborough Street?
Well, the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance has talked a lot about creating these 4 districts, including a health district. And if you drive out that way, there are lots and lots of healthcare providers. UNC Rex Hospital kind of is the anchor, but there's lots of smaller practices all around it. So you could see them go after some more people in the healthcare industry. There's an entertainment and education district. Certainly that's Carter Finley Stadium, PNC Arena. Perhaps there's a baseball stadium. Perhaps there's definitely going to be a music venue. The National Guard is building a new museum right in the same area that we're talking about. So the Art Museum recently updated, went through a complete renovation of its own. So I think this is going to spur others to say, well, if people are going to come out here, let's have other attractions for them as well.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk. We've talked about a lot of talk. We've talked about plans and concepts of plans. Get your crystal ball out. what does this area really look like 10 years from now? Is it all going to get built?
I think the Hurricanes were ready to break ground earlier this month. I mean, when NC State's football season ended, they would have been putting up that parking lot. They haven't been rezoned yet by the city of Raleigh, and all indications are that the city of Raleigh is on board with these plans and wants to make it happen. I mean, talking to Troxler, he sounded open to, like, if this land isn't being used and there's a better way to use it, or there's a better way for me to use the money that I might get for this land, then he's open. I think that's been the biggest difference from what I've seen. Like, the Centennial Authority has existed for a long time. These plans have been out there for a long time, but now action's actually happening. The right people are in the room. The right people are talking. I think Tom Dundon gets a lot of credit for that, but Steve Troxler probably deserves some. Philip Isley with the Centennial Commission, and probably dozens of others that are maybe a little bit more behind the scenes. I mean, Mary Ann Baldwin said this will be transformational. This will be the largest economic development in the city's history. I talked to many others who echoed those sentiments, and they really think it's going to happen this time. And even if the only thing that happens are things that are already on the books, the four corners of Edwards Mill and Reedy Creek and all the development at Lenovo Center, I mean, that's transformational alone. And I don't think it'll stop there. Once you have momentum in these things, more and more people will want to get out there.
Going to be interesting to watch it all come together. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
That's WRAL reporter Brian Murphy for his in-depth report on the Lenovo Center plans and redevelopment in West Raleigh. Go to WRAL.com. And don't forget, WRAL and Fox 50 will be airing Hurricanes games this week. Tune into Fox 50 tonight at 7 to see the Canes take on the Dallas Stars. And on Friday, the Canes take on the Florida Panthers at 3 p.m. That'll be on WRAL. I'm Jack Hagel. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.